College athletics is evolving faster than ever. From name, image, and likeness deals to conference realignment and new media rights agreements, today's student athletes are navigating a landscape that looks very different from just a few years ago. At the center of it all in Manoa is University of Hawaiʻi Athletics Director Matt Elliott, who's leading the department through one of the most transformative periods in college sports history. Matt, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. Aloha.
Yes, aloha. College athletics is changing quickly, and Hawaii is right in the middle of it. I want to start with name, image, and likeness. A lot of people focus on NIL strictly in terms of dollars and endorsement deals, but from your perspective, what's the broader impact on student athletes in terms of branding, responsibility, and even pressure?
Sure. It is one of sort of the new frontiers of college sports, and it is much bigger than just a contract or a sponsorship. It's about really imagining the whole college athletics landscape of where's the revenue coming from, where is the right place for it to go, and how is it part of a student athlete's development and their education. So it's a tool for them to be able to think about, yes, maybe be able to get some additional revenue that I can put away. Maybe it's a savings or cover current expenses, but also now I'm thinking about, our student athletes are thinking about contracts, sponsorships, working with third parties, thinking about how they plan for their future and using their own name, image, and likeness in a way that allows them to promote themselves. So it's an incredible educational opportunity in addition to how it changes the revenue distribution within the sports. Absolutely,
and there's a lot of moving parts with this all in the sports, behind the scenes that not everyone is seeing, so that's why we're here today. Thank you. What does modern college athletics mean now compared to even 5 years ago?
Yeah, major shifts. As you said right at the outset here, we are going through periods of change and realignment, name, image, and likeness. How do you drive revenue into the sports? But at the end of the day, keep the core about the student athlete experience. And that's really our fundamental guiding light is what are we doing to ensure that student athletes are able to pursue excellence both academically and athletically. The dream scenario is somebody comes here, they get to be in this incredible institution of higher education, get their degree, compete at the highest level, and then go off and be our future leaders. So we got to focus on what's really critical, but at the same time be able to adjust and adapt to this new landscape.
Exactly, yeah. And there's also a lot of perception around NIL, especially from fans who see big national headlines. What are some of the biggest, misconceptions people may have about how NIL really works, and particularly here at UH?
I think the misconception is that now we're just professional sports. And I really don't believe that's true. Again, at the core, we're talking about student athletes, and we're talking about doing it at an institution of higher education. So they are balancing. Student athletes are balancing their classwork, their social responsibilities, other student engagement they can do on campus with the athletics responsibilities. But what NIL does is, again, allow them to move in a direction where they can pursue these different opportunities. And then for us at the University of Hawaii, it's really about finding our right place in the system. So we don't have to compete with the high dollar amounts that you're seeing across the country and maybe in other conferences. What we have to do is figure out what's the right standard for UH in the Mountain West Conference, the Big West Conference, the places where we compete, benchmark ourselves against our peers, and then say, okay, if we can generate the dollars that we need to be competitive from an NIL standpoint at that level, then we believe we can be really successful in what we do, and we will serve our student athletes the right way.
Yeah, and that's what's most important, right?
It is, absolutely.
And Matt, what does modern college athletics mean now compared to just 5 years ago?
Oh man, it's changed so much. And every day I feel like it's changing even more. But some of the big things, as you mentioned before, are the realignment. We're always thinking about what's best for UH. Are we in the place that we need to be, and how do we prepare ourselves for potential changes going forward? And then with the NIL space, the transfer portal, for example, things like that, you're thinking about, again, how do we balance this, what is right for our student athletes with what puts the institution in the best possible place to be successful. But it is a place where we just always kind of have to be learning, looking at what our peer institutions are doing and level setting ourselves against the Mountain West Conference, the Big West Conference, and really those kind of group of 6 peer institutions. But at the end of the day, we got to just be focused on our core. What's right for our student athletes, what's right for our community. And if we do that, then we'll be in a really good place.
Exactly, and it's almost like as times change, how do we change with it, right? So, yeah. There's also a lot of, perceptions about NIL, especially from fans who see national headlines on their TVs, on their phone screens. What are some of the biggest misconceptions people have about how NIL really works, especially here at UH?
Yeah. Maybe because we're looking at national headlines, we're worried about keeping up with everybody else. I really don't think that's our job. Our job is to think about what is the best outcome for UH. And the best outcome for UH with name, image, and likeness is that we provide opportunities to our student athletes so that they can stay here. Our biggest goal is for student athletes to come to UH, love it, be part of this community, graduate, and then hopefully be our future leaders here in Hawaii. And if we have some NIL dollars that allows them to make an assessment, whether it's when they first come here or to stay, and they say, yeah, I love my coach, I'm getting an amazing education, and also the NIL dollars are competitive with other schools that are in this kind of at this level, then they're going to want to stay, and then we're going to have really successful outcomes.
Yeah, make it Hawaii home and have them stay home.
Yes, for sure.
Well, Matt, you're about 8 months into this role now. When you think about your long-term vision, what do you want UH Athletics to look like under your leadership?
So that's really been kind of the number one focus in terms of starting this job is let's create a vision. Let's create something, a story that we can tell everybody. Everybody in our athletics department should understand it, and someday I hope everybody in the community understands that. And we are calling it our vision for excellence, and that has 4 main components. Those 4 components are, number 1, let's have an outstanding student athlete experience. So as I said before, that's academics and athletics, but it also means, are we providing nutrition? Are we providing physical health care, mental health care, academic support? Are we doing travel the right way? Allow our student athletes to be successful. So that's number 1. Number 2, our slogan is our team, Hawaii's team. And what we mean by that is we want to engage and invest in this community across all islands with our fans and our alumni and people who love this place, even on the continent, internationally, and show them that our program is really committed to the next generation, committed to developing our keiki, have them be future students at UH or be future fans, but really making the program accessible to everybody. Third, recruit and retain elite student athletes, and that's really, we were talking about NIL before, but being able to provide scholarship opportunities and NIL so that when students come here, they're able to stay. And fourth, we want to be the premier program in the conference that we're in. So let's go out and win championships in the Mountain West, the Big West, and then compete for national championships.
Absolutely, and that's what we like to see here at home, for sure. And also UH is, this is the home for sports on this whole island. Like UH Sports represents Hawaii, not just UH. So how would you describe these first 8 months for you personally, and what's been the biggest challenge and maybe the biggest takeaway so far?
Just as a starting point, it's been unbelievable. Just the greatest professional experience of my career. Personally, one of these things that you almost can't believe that you get to be in this role. It is absolutely humbling, but all of that is true because of the community and everybody who's a part of this university and just loves and cares so much about UH. As everybody notes, we don't have professional sports. We are the only Division I program in the state. So there's just pride and passion about UH programs. And I got here at a moment where, there was a lot of turmoil and uncertainty at the national landscape, but we have so many really good people here. Our coaches are phenomenal. I love our student athletes. They approach every day with just this dedication that blows me away and an appreciation for the opportunity to be here. And then our fans are just like all in. They love it.
Oh, yeah.
They love it. No matter where I am, people will come up to me and say like, oh, I've been a fan of UH for 37 years and I used to go to these games and those games and whatnot. And we're just so happy the teams are doing well, and that couldn't be more gratifying. So I'm just so fortunate to be in this role, and I love it every day.
Well, we are happy to have you here. We're lucky to have you here, for sure. This year also marks UH becoming a full member of the Mountain West Conference. How significant is that moment for the program?
Yeah, it's big. As you know, our football program was in the Mountain West, but now we're bringing another 15 or 16 teams in with it. That helps from the standpoint of just continuity, alignment, kind of having common opponents across most of our teams. So that's really positive. We love the Big West. We've had a great experience being in that conference, and as you see, as we're wrapping up some of the teams that are in the Big West, it's a really great final year. We're also going to have a couple teams stay in the Big West, which is cool, so we'll have that dual membership. But in terms of the Mountain West, we got to prepare for new travel, different opponents. In some sports, you're going to see, for example, that the overall net rating, which is how good is the conference as a basketball conference, for example, is going to be a new level up. We're going to have to step up our games and be able to compete at that level. So that's a new challenge. That's exciting for us. And you take all of that information, you take everything that they're doing, those peer institutions, and you say, when we get there, on day one when we're there, we want to be ready to compete and make sure that we have, it's a seamless transition for our students and our coaches. So that's what we're preparing for right now.
Awesome. I love to hear it. I love to see it. I'm excited. UH has such strong tradition and identity. At the same time, college athletics is evolving really rapidly, as you know. How do you balance honoring that tradition while still adapting to all this change?
Yeah, I think that's a great question because of especially this place. And when you think about being here in Hawaii and our unique culture and kind of the history of how vital of a role UH as an institution plays for this state, or the role that it plays in the state overall, we're not just talking about a college or a university. We're talking about something that is central to the identity in a lot of ways of how this state, and especially from the economy standpoint, how this state is able to grow, workforce development, the alumni who give so much back to this place, and the incredible world-class programs that are offered here. So we want to make sure that we are doing everything in our power to represent the university at the level that it deserves. That's athletics' obligation. President Hensel does a great job of consistently saying this is a place of excellence, and we need to celebrate that.
Yeah.
We're all in. We want to do that in every turn that we can because it really is a privilege to represent this state and the people who live here. Absolutely,
and it makes a difference to have leaders like you who are all about that, because like as a student, I feel it myself. You can feel the culture of the school, and it's in sports, but also it goes beyond sports. The Mountain West recently announced its new media rights package. What does that mean for UH supporters trying to watch these games at home on their TVs this fall, and will anything look different?
A little bit. So there are a couple different steps here, but in terms of the media rights package, what you're going to see is national broadcasts for football, men's basketball, and women's basketball. And what those national partners like Fox and CBS will do is they'll pick the games that they think are the most exciting games coming into the season, and then they'll say we're going to broadcast those games nationally. So that's already happened. That's kind of our history that you've had that. But being in the Mountain West, with our profile being elevated, especially in basketball, you'll see UH basketball, men's and women's on TV, national broadcasts more often. We are also going to supplement that with a local media rights deal, and we're in the process of negotiating that right now with potential partners. So right now, most of our games are on Spectrum. We, of course, are communicating with them, but there are other entities that are also interested in our games. So where our games are aired, we're not 100% sure as we go into next year, but the idea that you'll still be able to watch men's and women's volleyball, basketball, baseball, and the exciting part of going into these new deals is we can get more exposure on other sports too. Soccer, water polo, beach volleyball, tennis, sports like that maybe haven't had as much of the opportunity to be viewed by our fans. Some of it will be on TV, some of it will be streamed. And the even better part about it is I think we can do this in partnership with students, and we can have UH students who have the skills, whether it's producing a game or helping us with commentary and things like that, really engage and lean into this.
Yeah.
That's an awesome opportunity for this university.
Oh, for sure. That in itself gets me so excited, especially wanting to work in broadcasting and looking into sports broadcasting too. I'm like, how do I get involved?
Yeah,
I'd love to.
Let's do it.
Well, Matt, we appreciate your time and insight during such an important period for the athletics department. Thank you so much for coming in. Mahalo.
Oh, absolutely love it. Mahalo.
College athletics have never looked quite like this. In just the past few years, the transfer portal has reshaped rosters across the country. NIL has turned students, athletes into brands, and universities are competing on a whole new level, not just on the scoreboard, but in culture, opportunity, and fit. Earlier in the series, we sat down with UH Athletics Director Matt Elliott to get the big picture. Today, we're bringing it down to the ground level with the people living it. I'm Kerim Bejic, and joining us today are two of University of Hawaiʻi student athletes whose path to Manoa tell two very different stories about what it means to be a college athlete. Welcome to the show, guys. Let's meet our panelists. First, from the Rainbow Warrior men's basketball, a 7-foot center who played at Utah State before finding his home here in Hawaii, Isaac Johnson.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here today.
Of course, thank you for being here. And next to Isaac, a starter for the Rainbow Wahine volleyball team since her very first year on campus, who chose UH straight out of high school and never looked back, Victoria Leyva.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you, guys. So let's just get straight into it. When it came time to choosing a school of where to transfer to or where to start playing your future ball, why UH?
Honestly, the University of Hawaii has a bunch of great different things to it. I think Isaac and I can both attest to that. The community support that is here, the support that you have from your coaches, from your teammates. There's just a different culture that's going on in Hawaii, and when you're learning about that in your recruiting process, it's really just something that you want to be a part of. The spirit of aloha that you carry, the pride that you play with, the discipline, the motivation, everything that goes on behind the scenes is just really makes the University of Hawaii different than any other college that's out there, and it's on an island here in Paradise, so what better place to play at?
Yeah. For me, choosing the University of Hawaii, I'd been at 2 other schools before. So I'd been at University of Oregon for my freshman year, and then Utah State for the past 3 years. And then just before moving here and transferring over, I also got married. And so I had that decision to take into account as well, that I was bringing my wife out with me to wherever school I'd be at next. And so there's a certain point in athletics and that a gym is a gym. As long as we have air conditioning in the summer, and as long as the weights are the weight that they say they are, it's really up to the type of people that you're dealing with. And here at the University of Hawaii, the people are amazing. And so the coaches treat us like adults. They don't try to babysit us and talk down to us. They're really amazing. The facilities are obviously great, but you know, at a certain point, it's more just about the people. So that's kind of why I chose to come here.
Of course, thank you guys for choosing to play for our wonderful program. It means a lot to everybody here. So the portal gives you guys a lot of options, right? How do you actually filter through all of those options? And is it the coaching staff? Is it the noise? Is it the place? Is it something else?
So I've been in the transfer portal 2 times to decide a new school. It's a very interesting setup. So you go in, and most of the time when you enter the transfer portal, your last coaching staff pretty much understands that that's kind of quits for you with that team. And so oftentimes there's not much turning back and being able to come back to that school. And so for me, it was interesting because you don't always know where you're going to end up. But you go through the process, enter your name to the transfer portal, you go through the admissions to get in. There's like a little video you have to watch, some documents you have to sign. And then your name is entered into a database, a nationwide database, within the next 24 hours. And your coaching staff is alerted that you are transferring and everything if you hadn't personally let them know. And then there's your phone number, your email, your social media, and coaches from all over the country can see that you are in this database.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And Victoria, you chose UH straight out of high school. So you didn't go through the portal. What made you commit here without having to go through any of those processes? And looking back, are you glad you made that decision?
Yeah, so I graduated high school early. I graduated December of my senior year just to kind of come out here and start training with the team in the spring semester. So I gave up my whole spring semester of high school, which is like prom, graduation, and all of that. I think when I was going through my college recruiting process, I come from a smaller town in Texas that's not really highly recruited. And especially being a DS libero, that's one of the less recruited options as well, because you only need about 2 or 3 per team for that. So coming from that side of things and my story, it's very much at a disadvantage for what my recruiting options are. However, through different national tournaments and through tournaments where college coaches were watching me compete, I was able to have a lot of options on the table. One of the biggest things that really made me choose UH is what they value. When I was speaking with the coaching staff and then kind of learning more about their fan base and the support that they have for university athletics here, it's huge. Like, they really just want to make you a better athlete, but not even just that, but a better human. Overall, getting yourself involved in the community and just growing into the person that you're going to be one day once our collegiate athletic journey is over. So,
amazing,
yeah.
amazing. And another question for both of you guys. NIL has been a massive topic as of recently. Matt Elliott actually spoke to us about it from like the administrative side, but what does it actually feel like from where you guys sit? Has NIL changed the way you think about your sport, your brand, or yourself, or anything like that?
Yeah. NIL has changed so much in the game. And it obviously differs from sport to sport. You see a lot of the news about quarterbacks in the transfer portal and that they're getting paid an unreal amount of money. And so you see these things and everybody has some sort of expectation and some sort of desire to get to that number. And a lot of times it throws out of balance a little bit of the nature of athletics. And UH has done a wonderful job of allowing us to take advantage of our name, image, and likeness, allowing us to express ourselves in different ways through social media and different things like that, and dealing with collective, as well as letting us just take care of the athletic side of things. There's a lot of success from University of Hawaiʻi Athletics, and I think they do a really good job of taking care of the NIL side of things, but not making it the main focus of everything that's going on.
Yeah, I think it all goes into, it's weird because I feel like as athletes, kind of, we have to be a little bit more on social media for NIL and all that to be able to get opportunities that are not straight through the university. But it's really fun. I personally really like dealing with social media. I love being able to create a brand for myself and put myself out there like that. In terms of collegiate athletics and how it's shaped my perception of the sport, I think, like Isaac was saying, they've done a really good job at keeping the balance. Here at Hawaii, personally, on our team, NIL isn't everything to us. For us, it's mostly about like our teammates, who we are as people, than the money thrown at us. I think they've done a really good job at just kind of progressing and opening up a lot of opportunities for student athletes to be able to get, to make money off of their name, image, and likeness.
It's very important to have that balance in the NIL. So I'm glad that our program is doing that the right way, right? There's a lot of pressure that also comes with the NIL. You're not just an athlete anymore, you are a business at this point. So how do you balance that as well as being a student, an athlete, a competitor? Does it ever feel like it's too much?
Honestly, no. Like I said, I love enjoying and I enjoy doing social media. It kind of brings out the creative aspect of me, so it allows me to kind of express myself in a very different way. When it comes to the business side of it, there are resources that we've been provided to be able to help us navigate that, whether it's something that we do want to do or we don't want to pursue. So I believe it's been made an easy process throughout the university with the information that they're giving us, how we have to go through it, paying taxes and all that, which is one thing that I was surprised about. Like, you have to pay taxes on NIL money. It's a business, but in the end, I found it a way to make it fun and not just something that's so professional all the time, and still be able to express myself and be who I am, even though I have to kind of keep a very professional brand up front.
Yeah. For me, I wouldn't say that I'm the most creative dude out there. I have a marketing agency that I kind of work with, and they tell me where to show up, when to show up. If it's a brand or a deal that I don't feel is in accordance with my personal values, that's something that I'm able to communicate and work out.
And so what's a misconception that fans or even other students have about the NIL? Is there something that they actually get wrong, but they should know about it? Like, what is it actually like?
Mm-hmm. I would say a massive misconception is the amount of money that most student athletes are getting. And so I think the common misconception is, oh my gosh, if you are a starting five or if you're one of the best guys on a team or whatever, then you have money. A lot of times there's not that type of money out there. There are a select few schools, but that's not a reality for most student athletes. Honestly, a lot of us are just blessed to be on scholarship, to be able to have an education that is provided for us. And especially in a place like Hawaii, where the cost of living is a little more expensive, and that a lot of times what the NIL does is it just covers majority of the living expenses, that we don't have to worry as much about paying rent, and we can focus more on getting better at our sport, representing the university in that way, and taking care of academics.
The biggest misconception is depending on which university, what level you're playing at, the NIL money differences are based on what you're able to be offered. Just like in the volleyball world, there's girls out there who are getting offered over $50,000 a year. Personally, I have a job outside of what I do for sports and school and all of that. So I leave that money, my NIL money is basically going into an account that I can save for my future endeavors of what I have planned for after college. So I think that's another biggest misconception, is that all student athletes out there are buying the newest items. I think if you speak to student athletes and who they are, I think a lot of us are spending it many different ways. And for the most part, it's more of a help than harming us. I think sometimes people don't believe we deserve NIL because we're just going to spend it on those newest items. But for a lot of people, it's really helping aid in the cost of living.
Nice.
That's
a blessing in
impressive, by the way.
itself. I mean, that's a huge deal in itself. A lot of people would love to go to university here, especially under a scholarship. So it's a big thing. And okay, so Isaac, you've been in the portal actually. So walk us through what that process was really like emotionally. You're leaving a program, you're leaving teammates, close friends, coaches. How do you handle that?
It's an interesting for me. I feel like I am one of the most unique cases in college basketball, college athletics, because whether I've transferred or not, I've had a new coach every single year. You go into your compliance office, you tell them you want to enter the transfer portal, you have all the paperwork we talked about earlier, and then it's just your name is out in that database. And so it's kind of just like free falling. You have no idea where you're going to land. You're probably not going to be able to come back to where you were, and you got to just hope for the best. Take the interviews that coaches reach out to you with as best as you can. And the biggest thing is just being honest about what you want. You have to not be afraid to stand up for what you want and tell them exactly the type of person you are and try to match that up. Because if either of you are dishonest, that's going to cause some hardship, probably some butting heads and all sorts of things. And so I was very blessed to be able to be at 3 different schools. So,
Victoria, you've seen teammates come and go through the portal. How does that transfer affect team chemistry, team bonds, and team relationships?
Yeah, I think it's very interesting because as each season goes by, the volleyball has 2 portals, one after December and one after spring. So we do have 2 portals that we have to kind of deal with the movement coming in and out of the program. Our coaches have done a really good job. They pretty much know the current personalities of the people that are staying on for the program, not looking to transfer, and kind of how they would fit in and mesh with the team. So they kind of do like the first filtering out of the student athletes that we get. And then after that, of course, once we get our teammates on as a squad, we really try our best to just kind of catch them up to speed in terms of the game, how our system works, how it plays out, and all that stuff. But it's nice. I think our current squad that we have on is very open to working with many different people, kind of being adaptable to like different people that we get in and that come out, and changing our systems as semesters go on. But in terms of like socially outside of volleyball, I think it's also great. I think volleyball, the sport is our priority, but after we get out of the gym, we tend to kind of leave the sport within its lines. But from our perspective, we've just kind of done a really good job at being able to adapt to whoever we're given, and from there have that open communication and that open line to kind of say what's working, what's not working, and just be grown-ups about it, I think is the biggest thing. I think when you're dealing with new teammates, new people, you really just have to have that open conversation to get to know them as best as you can, so that you're able to be out there on the court with them and be able to trust them playing next to you.
And then I want to hear from you both. Do you think the portal is good for college athletics, or has it changed the game in ways that aren't always positive?
This year we were able to utilize the portal very well. More than half of our team was, and we ended up winning the conference championship. And so opportunity-wise for teams, if you do it right, it's an amazing thing. And same thing personally for the athletes.
Yeah, I think it just kind of depends on how you treat the portal is what goes on overall. I think our university is doing better, and we're going each year to try and recruit and retain student athletes here at the university, because all in all, you don't want a revolving door at your program where people are just coming in and out of it, and that's where it becomes more of like a business thing, which the portal is. But once you start to treat it as something where you're money hungry and looking for different opportunities each year to get more and more money, instead of developing yourself as a human being, as a student athlete, and just a person overall, I think that's when it starts to become a problem. But I do think it provides athletes and coaches a great opportunity to find their right fit. And
people see the games, the highlights, the jersey. What don't they see? What does your day-to-day look like? Tell me what it's like to be a student athlete.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into being a student athlete that I don't think people get to really know about. I think a lot of times they think we just show up into a gym for about 2 hours, 3 hours a day, and then we're back out. A sample day for me is kind of waking up at 4:45, trying to be at school by 5:15, and then from there being able to leave the locker room at 5:30 so we have time to warm up, and by the time it's 6 a.m. we have to be ready to go. Right after practice, it's class, go home, probably for an hour, take a nap, food, whatever you can get into your system before we have to come back for weights. And then we go out and then we get to be free. And then that's where people take their free time, whether to do homework, whether to go work, to do whatever they need to do. It can take a toll on you, but I think as long as you learn that balance of how to take care of yourself, physically, emotionally, mentally, it's very, very possible.
I would say it depends a lot of times. Our season is 6 months long. It is the longest season in college athletics. It depends a lot on gym availability with the other sports, when classes are scheduled. But something that I found a benefit was having at least one in-person class so that I could still have a sense of college, a sense of community, and being able to be out there on campus and feel like I'm a real college student, you know?
It seems to me like the life of student athletes can be overlooked sometimes by people around.
Mm-hmm.
Like honestly, like that doesn't sound like too much freedom in your schedule. It's very packed. Last one, and I want both of you guys to answer this. When it's all over and you're done competing, what do you want people to say about your time as a Rainbow Warrior or Wahine?
That's a hard question. I think the biggest thing, honestly, that for my time here, I just wanted to be kind of that we were just people that worked hard. I think it's more about, I want to be known as somebody that always showed up, that people could be counting on, reliable, just somebody that really tried to make the most out of my time here. You know, I mean, nobody should want to be remembered as somebody that was a horrible person. I think overall it just comes back to, as my time here as being a Rainbow Wahine, I just want to be remembered as somebody who was a good person and really try to do what was always right and what was best, and just that type of person where you always just give it your all, I think is the biggest thing.
I would say somebody that people enjoyed spending time around. I'm a pretty animated player. I think if you watched any of the games, you're able to see that I get pretty pumped up and pretty amped, and I love to get the crowd in it as well. I'm not as animated in like regular life. I usually am pretty chill, but as long as people enjoy spending time around me, that I am somebody that helps brighten their day in a little bit, whether we're golfing, whether it's just a random interaction, whether we're walking around talking. I love to have conversations with people to gain a little bit of knowledge about them and to help people feel seen. But overall, if I can just leave an interaction to help brighten somebody else's day, that kind of helps refill my battery. So in a selfish way, like leaving people feeling cared about helps me out a lot as well.
Isaac, Victoria, thank you guys so much for being here and for sharing your stories with us. You guys have been giving us a real honest look at what it means to wear the green and white today. And it's clear that both of you, this is more than just a uniform. That's going to do it for this segment of the CSS Digital Studios show. I'm Kerim Bejic, and we'll see you next time.